I'm confused. First question was why? Why the changes? To me, it seems very drastic. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around why and who's behind it. What is, why? That's where I'm at with it.
Hey, welcome to the Medicare Academy. This is officially our third episode, and today we are going to be discussing the CMS final rule and how that really affects Medicare agents and agencies. And let me just preface that everybody thinks this final rule is a little bit ambiguous. People aren't really agreeing on what it means, so we're just going to have a discussion today and try and figure it out together. So I think for me as an agency owner, it feels very threatening because some folks are saying that agencies will no longer get paid what's called an override commission. And that override commission is what funds this very podcast, the store, the tools, the training. If they took that away from an agency owner, there'd be no incentive for me to ever do the Monday morning trainings that a lot of thought and effort is put into. So it makes me feel like a bunch of agents will just be abandoned.
It's going to be tough for the insurance agent that doesn't have any Medicare experience to get into it. So that's going to hurt the 12,000 people that are turning 65 every day in this country. They're not going to have anyone to go to find out what are their options, to navigate. I don't believe it's a final rule. I think that's funny that they called it that because it's not final.
Well, there were 21 provisions. I think there were 21, and they addressed 20 of the 21. 4 of them they're kicking down the road, so they said this is final for these 17 provisions. And one of them was compensation. And it's heavily weighted towards how they're going to pay the agent. I didn't see a whole lot of things about agencies. They mentioned field marketing organizations and third-party marketing organizations, but they dedicated 35 pages of 1,326 to agent compensation and like one sentence to agency compensation. So that's why I'm kind of like wondering what it really means. So do you guys feel threatened by the new rule, or is it just you're just looking at it like, hey, this is more money we could get, but in a different way?
No, that's not how I'm confused. First question was why the changes? To me, it seems very drastic. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around why and who's behind it. What is, why? That's where I'm at with it.
What is their goal?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess this is CMS's rule, correct?
It is CMS, yes.
What's that stand for, Erica?
Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
Nailed it.
EH.
I actually consider it threatening maybe in a different aspect than you would, being an agency. I don't know what I would do without the support of my agency. I mean, I don't know how I would have the information that I have and the growth that I've had in the last year. I couldn't do that on my own. It takes, I think a team is better than just one, but if that rule does happen the way it sounds like it's going to happen, we are all going to be islands. And I don't feel like anybody works well when they're just an island.
I was on an island before I came here. I'm with you. I don't like the being alone. I just the training, the support, everything. I just what's going to happen with this? I don't understand it. Why? I see nothing positive in it. I don't care if I'm going to make a little bit more money on each enrollment. I don't care. I would rather have this.
So you think this team has built you or helped you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
I was out there 100%. By myself, floating around by myself.
Yep.
I was underneath someone, sure.
Someone that got some money.
From it, yeah. For
not
got
helping?
nothing. Yeah, exactly. So
maybe this will make the cream rise.
Ooh.
Oh, that could, yes.
I've never heard that.
Yes. That could.
Cream rise.
The good stuff comes to the top.
Yes.
Well, there was the motivation, and I didn't really get to read the whole thing, but the motivation behind it all was CMS believes that independent insurance agents only sell what they get paid the most amount of money on. They've already standardized what we get paid to make that sale. That is the same regardless of the company. What's not the same is how much we get paid on a health risk assessment. Some companies pay us $50, some companies 100, others 75, others 35. And so CMS is under the impression that those companies that would pay like $150 on a health risk assessment would influence the way an insurance agent would sell the policy. So they would just sell policies where they got an extra $150 as opposed to $50, regardless of the benefits. I say that's really hard to do, but they want to streamline that by just embedding all of the money into a single commission.
Or they could just say, you pay $72, everybody, for your health risk assessment.
Yeah, they could have done that.
Right.
Yeah, so why didn't they just do that?
I don't know. How do you decide what company to put your client with, Scott?
Well, it depends on, say you're my client, Connor, CT. We're gonna break down what you need, what you want, and what is best for you.
Okay.
That's how. It has nothing to do with.
So you're going to ask me for my list of prescription medications, probably first. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Doctors.
Well,
prescriptions.
yeah. I mean, what I do
is
I do meds first. Then I'm like, all right, here's because we use a Connect. Is it Connecture?
Yes.
Connecture is the one we use. Yeah.
It's free or it costs money.
No, it's like $50,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yes.
so we put that in, and it'll show, okay, the companies that I'm contracted with, and I explained to them early on what we have. There's 52 choices, but these 3 appear that it's going to keep more of your money in your pocket. Is that important to you? Do you hate this company? Nope. Do you? Okay, so now there we are. Now I'm going to look at which doctors must you have. So at no point do I say, well, it's how much money I'm going to get on that health risk assessment, because I don't have any idea how much any of them pay me.
right.
I don't either. And I tell you what, some of them harass you so much with so many. Some of those health risk assessments are like weight and height, and do you, are you addicted to chemical substances? Some of them take several minutes, and I'm like, man, it's not even worth doing. It's the last thing I'm thinking about on an enrollment. But it's not just the health risk assessment. It's some agencies say, hey, if you produce so many apps, we're going to pay for your AHIP, which is our testing that we have to do every year to stay certified. And some will say, well, for every 10 apps you produce for this insurance company, we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus.
What do you think of that, Erica? Do you think an insurance company ought to say we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus if you do this many apps?
I mean, I guess that's their prerogative, but as an agent with integrity, you give your client what's best for them, not, I mean, that doesn't sway me at all. In fact, I did get some dollars that I could spend like on some swag for my clients, and I didn't even know I had gotten it until they sent me an email, because that's just not a concern for me. But also, I'm not a high producing agent yet, so maybe that's why it's not a concern. I don't know. I just, the client, our job is to make sure the client has what they need.
Thank you.
Right.
That's what you do.
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with incentives, because my bottom line is I know what I'm getting paid, whether it's a supplement or an advantage plan. I know what I'm getting paid, so there's no guesswork there. The extra stuff, I'm like, oh, well, okay, that was nice. I don't even think of it.
What it seems like to me, and you know more about than me, but what it costs to operate a business. There are a ton of expenses, and it just sounds to me, and it feels like to me, that they're just stripping any capability you have or an organization has to provide what each agent needs. They're just stripping it away and saying, figure it out. That's how it feels.
Well, they're going to give you an extra $100 on an MA app.
Yeah.
And you're going to take that money and buy your own AHIP. You're going to take that money and buy your own marketing services for whoever has it for sale. And the insurance company can no longer pay anything other than the standard solid commission. That part I agree with. I think that part makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What doesn't make sense to me is the part that's ambiguous. Is does it affect agencies in a way that if they're no longer going to pay that agency for you to produce, then there's zero incentive for me to ever really do anything other than we're just friends, you know, and share the knowledge. That knowledge I share with our 40 insurance agents took, 23 years to gather, and it takes about 3/4 of my day. My 3/4 of my workday is invested in other people and helping them understand that they're supported and have tools and can perform their job in a way that's ethical. A big part of what we do every single Monday is train. That's unique in an agency. We're constantly talking about compliance. If they're not going to pay me to do that anymore, I'll just go and sell. And that will leave people in a weird predicament. So
It will be devastating to agents who have 1 year under their belt, because yes, I'm sure I can read a lot of things to get that knowledge, but how much do we retain when we read as opposed to when we're sitting in a room with colleagues and we're all discussing things and then other things come up because of those discussions. We learn from each other. But I completely understand that you aren't able, this isn't a charity organization. The Medicare Resource Center is not a charity organization. So you have to make money. So if they take that ambiguous part, if it is what it sounds like it might be, you are then going to have to make a choice as to make money, keep my family fed, or support agents. And obviously, you're going to make money to keep your family fed. And that's going to be to the detriment of those of us who are newer. And in turn, it's really going to hurt the client because I'm not going to have as much knowledge as I would have had. And the client's the one that's going to end up paying. And I think the way it sounds, the insurance companies, if they are held to that same standard won't it make them more competitive? Like, I'm not going to incentivize you to sell my product because I'm giving you money. I'm going to incentivize you to sell my product because it's good product.
yeah, that part's cool.
I mean, yeah that part
It's already there.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
don't give me an extra $1,000 to sell 10 of your policies. Just have the best policy, and then guess what? I'm going to sell 10 of your policies.
right.
So
Yeah.
What do you deem best?
what fits the client's needs appropriately.
Because every client is individual. If we were sitting with a couple, the wife might get this plan because that's what and then the husband might get a different company because that's his needs, and that's what you do every year.
Yeah. And even to the extreme of one might get a supplement and one might get an advantage plan. I mean, we're all unique individuals, which is why Medicare's not a group plan.
And each organization is different. So what it seems and sounds to me is, excuse me, Medicare Resource Center, of course, we're our own thing. But it sounds like they're lumping everybody into the same pot and saying you're all bad, blah, blah, blah. There's no good players out there. You're all bad players. We're going to punish all of you. That's how it comes off to me.
Yeah, and one of their leading paragraphs, they said this CMS final rule is really, the heart of it is marketing done in a way that's deceptive by third-party marketing organizations. So, for instance, in particular, TV. So TV advertisements will show a picture of a red, white, and blue government Medicare card and then start quoting benefits like a give back program from an Advantage company. And so people are like, oh, wow, my Medicare is going to start paying for its own Part B. And they call in and they end up on this Advantage plan and the doctors aren't in network and all the complaints. So now part of that compliance is they can't use any images of the Medicare card. And if they do one that's similar, if they announce any benefit according to what a Medicare Advantage company would provide, like say dental and vision and a gym membership or whatnot, they have to quote the plan that they're talking about in TV advertising. But the heart of the final rule was that. Like, what do we have to do with that? You know, I've never once ever been in an appointment and started calculating what I might get paid. It's so much of a challenge just to present a plan and give them benefits better than what they currently have. That's a challenge in itself. There's no way I can be like, well, you know, I get paid on this plan. It gives me an extra $100 maybe, and put them somewhere worse. I'd have to be the best salesman in the world to take you from something to something worse just so I got paid on it. Now, I will say, honestly, there are bad characters out there. I think we've done a good job of policing our own. When we see one that's out of compliance and breaking the rules, we call them out. Why do we call them out? Because we don't want to get regulated like we're being regulated now, but it's so in the minority. And I think in Medicare's eyes, they get these complaints and these calls, and they, like you're saying, Erica, they make the assumption that that's everybody. It's not.
I think that I actually was just sharing with a colleague this morning that I think the Medicare Resource Center is very good about some people just aren't a fit. And if they're not a fit, either they're going to know it quickly because maybe their practices are not up to maybe the same standard where character and integrity are involved. And maybe there have been times that the leader of the Medicare Resource Center has had to say, maybe you're not a good fit. Because I feel like the agents that are in the Medicare Resource Center, so far that I have seen, all of us operate with a high degree of integrity. And that says a lot for who we are. But at the same time, CMS doesn't know us. They don't know us personally in the aspect of we're just Medicare insurance agents.
Right. Without leadership, there is nobody to lead and be responsible for a culture. Mm-hmm. Without a culture, you have a bunch of abandoned folks out there. So I still believe this isn't affecting agencies. I saw one sentence, and if they dedicated 35 pages to what the agent will get paid and won't get paid, I would think they would address as many pages to agencies. But another big part of the final rule has a lot to do with things that don't affect compensation, like star ratings. It looks like they're going to maybe have some different kind of ranking system where people achieve their stars. And I don't know about you, but the last couple of years, you know, I really mention and highlight the star rating of an insurance company. That's Medicare's rating. People should know that. And the people that I'm saying that to have no idea there's a star rating at all or what it means. Well, that fell flat.
I was just waiting for someone else to talk. I've been talking too much.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have been too.
No.
Yeah.
What you got on that, Scott?
Oh, star ratings. Well, this is basically straight from CMS. If you don't know what star ratings are, star ratings is a system that helps Medicare consumers compare the quality of Medicare health and drug plans being offered so they are empowered to make the best health care decisions for them. This is from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So basically, you can, if anybody's looking, you can see they rate your health plan. This is on each plan: staying healthy, managing chronic conditions, member experience with health plan.
I can't see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Anyways, when CMS rates plans, this is what they take account or take a look at, okay, in each individual plan. Staying healthy, screening tests, vaccines, etc., managing chronic long-term conditions, member experience with health plan, member complaints and changes in the health plan's performance, health plan customer service, drug plan star ratings. They look at the drug plan customer service, member complaints and changes in the drug plan's performance, member experience with the drug plan, drug safety and accuracy of drug pricing. So it's basically an overall rating for each plan. So not sure how that's going to be affected because what did you say? It's 2 years and what they rate. And it comes out every October, every fall. They come up with new ones. But it's from 2 years ago, correct?
Yeah, and I bet they mess with that part of it But the part I love about the star ratings is I can present a plan and I can say, okay, here's the premium. A lot of plans that people are buying don't have a premium, but if it has one, we mention it. The deductible, here's the co-pays, here's what your drugs will cost, all your doctors tell you, here's all the extra benefits. And that's good to know. But the question is, will that company honestly honor what they have written on paper? And I will tell you, the companies that have low star ratings, we're not going to mention them. We know who they are. We've sold people those plans and experienced that for ourselves as agents. Like, yeah, customer service is a big part of it, but I think it's good for the client that we're in front of. We can show them benefits, and anybody can say they're going to do these things, but they don't actually perform on it. Medicare monitors that. That is a big part of my presentation now is, do you really want to look at a 2.5-star plan that you're in when you can get a 5-star or a 4.5-star who's consistently held 4 stars or higher the last 3 or 4 years? It means something.
Yeah, we can go on each plan when like you were talking about, when I meet with somebody, we go over the benefits, how much, and then we go to star ratings, and we can actually, with the system we have, we can show them, well, their overall rating is 4, 4.5, or whatever, and then we can walk them through overall quality of this, member complaints, so they can see a breakdown of each star for each category. It's very important, extremely important.
It is very important, and I think that for the population that we deal with, they need ease. They don't want to be on the phone on hold for 40 minutes. They don't want to have to call back 6 times to get the right person. And when the member service rating is higher, that means that people have been helped, because let's be honest, it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. So it's the people, more people call to complain than call to tell you you did a great job. So if you have a high member rating, that means those people that did call to complain were very few, because their rating couldn't be that high. And the good news is that probably means that there aren't a lot of complaints, because people tend to call when they want to complain. So it is very important for our clients.
You know who else doesn't want complaints? Me.
All right.
When I sell somebody a plan, the last thing, I look at those star ratings for what they mean to me, and I'm not even the one that's going to be in the plan. When I sell somebody a plan that's 5 stars or 4.5 stars.
5's the most you can get.
5's the most that you can. That means you can enroll them year-round, which is amazing, which is a benefit to us agents and prospects. It's wonderful. But the insurance company pays us 20-something bucks. I don't even know what it was, 24, 22 bucks a month per member to manage people, so that when they call in, we're going to assist them and help them transition to the right plan, stay in the current plan. But the last thing I want is to enroll somebody in something that's going to cause me issues. I don't want the problems. Yes. So I look at that star rating from that standpoint too. I see 2.5 stars and I'm like, that really that means that, man, if I enroll somebody in that plan, I bet my client calls me a lot.
Yeah, I tell my clients, I want you to see me at Kroger's and go, hey, Connor, not, hey, Connor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, because the majority of the way we get business is from our current book of business.
No question.
We go, we teach, you go out and get 100 clients. Once you get 100 clients, that seems to be kind of like the magic number. Then those people that you've been good to and done well by, then refer people to you. If I go in our CRM system and I look at my number one source of where I get sales, it is referrals. So if I'm out there being swarmy and I'm doing wrong by people, I won't get referrals. You won't make it in the industry anyway. So agents that do that type of thing, they do it at their own peril.
Yes, reputation is a fragile thing.
Yes.
Well stated.
That's very true.
How would you guys do your jobs, like, if you didn't have the tools and the weapons and websites and CRMs and quoting and enrollment and training and...
Oh, I could do it. Would I be successful? No.
I would not be helpful. They could do it themselves.
I mean, that's one way to think
if
about
I don't have the tools, I would go to Medicare.gov, I suppose, because I know that, because I've been taught that.
Yeah, but you can't find provider data there.
Yeah, I mean, it would be extremely difficult on me to do that job, and it would be unfair to the prospect.
I see me being compromised in the area of making mistakes. These systems that we have really help us not make errors. And it allows us to create a single profile, doctors, drugs, put it into a database that's encrypted and secured where we can manage them. If I had to go to every insurance company and pull out a paper sales kit and go through their paper formulary or go to their website and go, oh, wow, darn, 2 drugs are missing, and go to the next plan and the next plan and the next plan, it just screams that you could easily make a mistake. So those tools and weapons we use really make our jobs easier, but I think the most important part about them is it keeps us from making errors, which serves the client.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is certainly the best thing for the client.
Yeah, I don't think I would have started this adventure if I had to do it that way. I don't think if I had not been shown, when I first inquired about this, if I had not been shown those systems and how they work and how seamless it is and how streamlined it is, I would have hesitated and probably not have even, since I'm so new, I probably would have been like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think that, because can you imagine? I mean, my appointments are usually more than an hour. I would be like, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and order lunch because we're gonna be here for a while. I mean, I could just see my appointments would last hours.
Well, earlier you said that without a team like this, you could read stuff and you could do so. But it's kind of like when we were kids and we played telephone line. I could read it and I could tell you, and then you would tell Scott, he would tell his buddies at the lumber company, and then they would tell Jason. The story would get changed.
Yes.
And sometimes we read it, but we didn't really see what it said. So it's extremely important that we get together at least once a week, if not more often, just to say, what do you think about this? I've never seen this come in from over here. And it really helps the client.
And the understanding, because I can read something and I'm like, I think this is what it means. And then somebody with, I don't know, 20 plus years reads it and says, Erica, we're going to read it together and we're going to kind of dissect it because that's not at all what it means. So, yeah, it's much better.
I think
when we're a team.
If people are watching this, when people watch this, sensing some frustration or aggravation, this is a legitimate feeling, correct? There is so much work that goes into, I don't know if people think that they just meet with us and we just throw something together. There's steps in the process, and there's a process for each individual we meet with.
There's always a next step.
Yes, and there's so much behind-the-scenes stuff that goes into us meeting with you, sitting down, and determining what's best for you. There's a ton of stuff, and people just don't understand it. I don't know.
There's a ton of stuff we don't even get paid for.
Right.
That we do,
yes.
that nobody acknowledges all the work that we do that we don't get paid on. I always feel like we're under attack. So it makes me feel weird as an agent. And when they say we got to, record phone calls, we do our best to adapt. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we got to record phone calls. They must be encrypted. We have a certain thing that we got to say on a message. Where do you store the data? How do you pay for storage? I mean, that cost our agency tens of thousands of dollars to release. And we're trying to be compliant. It's not as easy as people think it is. I have clients that have had my cell phone number for 20 years, that for 20 years I picked up the phone and we've texted each other, and now I'm like, hey, you can't do this anymore. You got to call this special line, got to say a disclaimer, and it just feels weird. But we're trying. We're doing our best to serve those clients and obey the rules. So I think this makes a really good episode for today. Anybody else have any comments?
Nope.
Any other things about the final rule?
I think we'll see what happens.
We will.